I think my brother's been holding back on me. I think he's a secret news director at lots of these local TV stations around the country, including something that happened in Indianapolis last night. Here's what makes me think it. Just a couple days ago, I was watching the TV, and the Pope and Donald Trump were getting into it about the walls, and somebody at the border and somebody started putting up photographs saying, hey, the Pope is criticizing Trump, but the Pope has the biggest walls in the world at the Vatican around his country. So my brother strolled into the room and he says, oh, what's happening on TV? I said, well, hey, everybody's ragging on Trump, but the Pope has bigger walls than Trump. Everybody's starting to point out the inconsistency. That's a polite word for hypocrisy. Anyway, so then my brother looks at me and goes, there are no walls at the Vatican. I said, what? He goes, no, I've been there. There are no walls at the Vatican. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's flash forward over to Indianapolis last night. Large group of black people, 100 to 150 black people, rampaging, firing guns, fighting, destroying property, defying police, threatening, all sorts of bad things happening. But this is not new for Indianapolis. But it seemed like it was new for one of the TV stations that was covering it. Let's give it a look.
We begin with breaking news. A disturbance on the streets on the city's northwest side. Dozens and dozens of teens flooded out of the Skateland USA and started to become rowdy near 40th and North High School Road. This all started about an hour ago. Dozens of Metro police officers showed up to round up roughly 100 kids and send them home. At one point, someone threw a rock through the windshield of a patrol car. That was the only violence. That was the only violence. That was the only violence.
That's not what the people on Twitter were saying. There were people on Twitter saying kids were shooting at Skateland, shaking my head. There were other people saying they were effing. They were effing with police cars. And lots of other people on Twitter said there was lots of really bad business going on out there. Now, luckily, there was another TV crew in the neighborhood on another story. At a nearby shopping center, the cops were rolling on some kind of hazardous material call. Anyway, when they got out there and the firefighters figured out there wasn't anything going on. So as the guys are in the news crews are in the parking lot, they pick up this story.
Now, firefighters and the health department were out here and said they couldn't find anything on their detectors, and the smell went away, and that's how they deemed it unfounded. Now, then, in the middle of all of that, we were standing right around here when we heard gunshots coming from that area, and then all of a sudden, people started running towards us. Now, this is the scene that unfolded right in front of us. 100 to 150 people came running from Skateland, according to police, and they say it all started there because there were rumors on social media of a lock-in tonight there, something they say wasn't true. And when Skateland closed at 9 o'clock, groups started gathering in the parking lot and police started trying to disperse them. That's when different groups started fighting with each other and people started running towards other parking lots in the area. Police called in backup in the process and even had a police car damaged in all the chaos.
One of the police cars that was in the dark area down here on Glen Arm got a rock to the windshield, and we got a windshield broke. No suspect on that.
These two stories were covering the same event. In one, it was a disturbance from a couple of teens, and nothing happened. The other one described it as a riot with gunshots and large-scale violence directed at police and directed at other people at Skateland. So it really all comes down to this. Are there walls at the Vatican? Or do you try to wish away the walls because you happen to like the Pope? Anybody who watches this channel, anybody who read Don't Make the Black Kids Angry or White Girl Bleed a Lot, or has read any of my articles in American Thinker knows that Indianapolis is a site of frequent black mob violence and black on white crime, with a lot of violence directed at the police. It got so bad a couple years ago, they brought in that noted healer and authority on police affairs, Al Sharpton. He demanded they fire their police chief, get a black police chief, and then everything would be okay. That's what they did. Everything got a lot worse. So they have a new chief in there as of a couple weeks ago. Nothing's gotten better. But Marco Rubio took the time a few nights ago to explain what's at the root of all this black mob violence in places like Indianapolis.
That there are communities in this country where minority communities and the police department have a terrible relationship. I personally know someone who happens to be a police officer and a young African-American male who told me that he's been pulled over 7, 8 times in the last few years and never gets a ticket. What is he supposed to think? He gets pulled over for no reason, never gets a ticket, no one has any explanation for why he's being pulled over. What is he supposed to think? So I owe everyone else, we have a problem. And we have to address it as a society and as a country. Because I do not believe we can fulfill our potential as a nation unless we address that.
It says doggone police causing all these problems again. That happens a lot in Indianapolis. You know, a couple months ago, we did a video about Marco Rubio. He was on Fox News with Megyn Kelly, and they were talking about the topic of Black Lives Matter. And Marco Rubio said, oh yes, I have a lot of sympathy for Black Lives Matter. I wonder if he thinks there are any walls at the Vatican. This is Colin Flaherty. I'm the author of Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. Here we talk about racial violence, black on white crime, black mob violence, all without racism, without rancor, without apology. We do it on video, we do it in books, we do it in articles. We do it to fight the biggest lie of this generation, the hoax of black victimization. The lie that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. Especially why, as Marco Rubio just said, cops are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. That's why I want you to like this channel, share it, subscribe to this channel, like this video, post it on your Facebook and Twitter page. Read Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. Give it to somebody. Because if Marco Rubio is saying this, we already know what the Democrats are saying, which, if you can believe it, is much, much worse and much more and much worse than this. And they're way further into the cycle of denial, deceit, and delusion than even Marco Rubio is. So if you're ever out in Indianapolis, say hello to Marco, say hello to the police chief. Give me a report on how that Reverend Al Sharpton deal is working out there. And just remember one thing. Don't make the black kids angry.